This is a Soaak podcast.
Hey, I'm Madi, and this is Sound Living, a space for real conversations about intentional living, wellness, and personal growth. Here, we dive into practical tools, mindset shifts, and the little changes that make a big impact. Whether you're looking to create balance, build better habits, or just feel more in tune with yourself, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Sound Living with Madi. Today, I am joined by my co-founders, my family. This is my husband, Aaron. He hosts the Science of Sound.
That's right.
I have my dad over here, Henry. He's our CEO. This is his new personality trait, by the way. Someone told him that it was cool.
Since I learned hang loose, it's like I've been hanging loose, so it's my frequency.
His wife, Laura, and we are here today to talk about how we integrate wellness into our lives as entrepreneurs, as people who are running a startup. And, we know how important that is and how an integral part of our lives it needs to be. And so, we've obviously gone through seasons of neglecting it for ourselves, and then we always come back around, because if you don't prioritize it, you pay for it later. So today we are just going to have a conversation about how to integrate wellness into our everyday lives. So I just kind of wanted to start by doing a quick little round table and kind of asking you all first, what does wellness mean to you?
Yeah. So for me, I think wellness means feeling good mentally and physically. Wellness, a lot of people think physical health, but I think your mental health really is the foundation of your physical health. And so you have to feel good mentally and physically, emotionally. I feel like wellness is feeling stable. And that takes a lot to make sure all of those things are good and balanced. But for me, I think it's just kind of a mind, body, spirit thing where if you feel stable mentally, emotionally, and then you're going to feel good physically, then you're well.
Yeah, because I think it's really interesting over the past decade or so that we've kind of tacked it on health and wellness. Like
Yes.
We've kind of identified as a culture that there's more than just thinking about your health, but also kind of about what wellness looks like to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've been a really big proponent of this my entire life, and I'm sure a lot of your life too. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what wellness kind of looks like for you.
Yeah, I'm the one that always likes to make sure everybody else is taken care of, and I came to the realization that unless I was strong and well taken care of, I couldn't help anybody else.
Right.
So
you can't pour from an empty cup.
right, as a father, as a CEO of the company, and being pulled on every end. It's difficult to prioritize that. But if you don't, and you get in a position where you've got wellness deficit, it's a problem. You're always digging out of a hole. Mm-hmm. So I tell a lot of people, and we can get into routines and things like that, which I know you're going to do later. But I tell people, invest in yourself now or pay for it later.
Right.
And if you can be consistent, I know when I go into the gym and all of that, if I've missed 2 or 3 weeks, things are a lot harder to lift. Things are a lot harder to do. But if I can just make it there 2 or 3 times a week and have that consistency, it's like I'm a brand new person. So if you look at that body, mind, and spirit, and keep that consistency where you're touching all 3, like you said, at least 2 or 3 times a week, then you're going to be strong to help others. We're going to be strong to give a product to the world now. That if we were weak and operated from a wellness deficit, we couldn't.
Yeah.
But so I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I think resilience too is a really big thing. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But building resilience in every area of your life, like mental resilience, spiritual resilience.
Right.
We've all walked through different seasons of really having to exercise our faith more, and physical resilience. We've all had young kids within the past few years. It's all of these things, and then talk about the germs that toddlers bring into the picture too.
Exactly. Yes.
You guys have a 3-year-old. We have a
Yes.
2.5-year-old, and it's been really fun to go through that season together.
Yeah.
But that brings a whole new level of demand. And it really does empty your cup, and you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in order to show up for your family, your friends, your
100%.
Children, everything in life that kind of makes life worth living, and
That's right.
kind of, address it in a way that really serves you first. And that way you can really serve your family. So I want to dig more into that. And I want to know what you guys, what does a balanced life look like for you?
Well, I also think that brings up another component that we haven't talked about yet with kind of this whole person health and wellness is the societal aspect, right? So that's where, I mean, you started to touch on that, right? Like we have a 2.5-year-old, you guys have a 3-year-old, and then there's a whole community that comes around with that. But societally, you know, we have a social need. We are social creatures. And so we have to think about our social health as well. And that's, we are beyond blessed to be able to be family and to work together and to get along is
most
amazing
of the time
and special.
Don't get me started, hang loose.
But I wanted to throw that social aspect in there because I think that's another really important component of this whole person health and wellness that needs to be talked about. But yeah, so forgive me, I already forgot the question.
Balanced life.
What was your name?
I
and how are you doing?
knew you were just waiting for me to finish talking so you could say what you wanted to say.
I was.
No, we're talking about how we navigate work, health, and personal growth, all while we have young children, while we're building this business together. You know, we've been working on Soaak as a startup for the last 6 years as a group. And you know, a lot has happened over the past 6 years, and we've gone through different phases of, you know, hustling, losing a lot of sleep, bringing new children into the world, just all these really intense phases of life.
Right.
And we've really been working on how to best navigate it.
So you said it perfect earlier, which was different seasons.
Yeah.
Right. And so I view it just as that. It's just like there are seasons in a calendar year. There are seasons of your life. There are seasons of a business. There are periods of growth, right? Like there is the spring where everything is taking off. And then there's the winter where everything's kind of slow and dormant, but that's an awesome opportunity to strategize and to plan and prepare so that when you hit the spring again, then you're back into that growth mode.
That's right.
So I just view it as seasonal changes. And for us, it's being able to be in that flow and to recognize what season we're in and to be able to just maneuver in that. And, you know,
and as you're doing that, knowing that there's cellular seasons. So I forgot the stat on this, but every so many hours, every so many days, every cell in your body replaces itself.
Right.
Is it like 7 years? Christian, look that up for us. I think it's every 7 years.
We're in a constant sense of change. And some of that, like every 24, 48 hours, certain cells turn over. But after so many years, you are a completely different person. So we live with change and in change. And unless we have resiliency to get through it, we're not going to make it. But if we have the attitude of this is a season, it will change. I will be literally physically different tomorrow than I was today because some of my cells died and some were reborn. So you're a different person every day. Some will say every hour. And if you recognize that and realize that, that keeps you moving to the next season of your life, body, mind, spirit, and socialization, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I think with the whole concept of balance, it's like one thing that I like to think about a lot is being in the present moment. And so if you're constantly in that present moment, like he said, you're constantly, every second you're changing. So if you're really attuned to that present moment and trying to be balanced in that present moment, then you go through life feeling really, really balanced. The present moment might be a chaotic, your toddler's throwing a fit, they just spilled something on the floor. But if you can be in that moment, however that feels, and try to be okay with that. You know, like you said, Aaron, try to move through that season and through that life, knowing it's a season, this is going to change, I'm going to get them to school, then I'm going to be able to take a breath. You know, it's like having balance in every moment of your life creates a really, balanced lifestyle.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, because I have a hot take. So this is something that I've gotten from my dad, and he says that work-life balance doesn't exist. It is work-life integration.
That's right.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I'll be honest, the first time I heard you say that, I was like, oh, that's kind of harsh, you know, because we live in this society where everyone's a little bit obsessed with a balanced life. Right. And I think that sometimes we go a little too far on the opposite side of actually being in these seasons of getting work done. And I know we all came down kind of hard on hustle culture, right? And I obviously some
not
things...
me.
He loves the hustle.
And you know what though? If you're doing something that you love and that you're passionate
It
about,
doesn't feel like us.
Yeah.
you should be hustling
Right.
for it.
Yes.
Right.
That's your
It's
calling.
invigorating. Yeah.
That's your
1,000%.
living in the present moment.
Yes.
And maybe
exactly.
that's the problem. Maybe
Yeah.
you don't need work-life balance. Maybe you just need a better job that more aligns with,
Yeah.
With your
who you are
passion.
as a
Yeah.
person and
Yes.
your purpose.
Well, and if you try to always balance things, you're never in the present moment, because if I'm working, I'm looking
right.
at my clock saying,
Yeah.
I've only got 2 more hours to do this, then I got to go spend time with little Johnny, and then I've got to do this to be perfectly balanced, versus if you integrate them in your life. I'm going on a trip, they're going to be with me the next 2 days. Even when I work, that's much different, and you're present with yourself, with your team, and with your family.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, finding balance in that integration. And if you feel like there's a lack of balance in your life, then maybe that is a spiritual nudging to pursue something that more aligns with your purpose and your calling.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the hot take for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
good.
that's very true. And I wanted to say this too, Maddie. Like, seeing us all get up here, it's not because we don't have other people to be on here or to interview. It's because we have brought Soaak from literally nothing and pouring millions of dollars into it over this many years. You know, we were in clinic 9 years ago. We've done Soaak the last 6 years, and just now we're getting the traction to be. We just celebrated to be in 190 or 190th country,
Right.
and there's only 195.
Right.
And to see that process of where we started from, everything we had to grow through, the work-life integration that we all had to do, bringing new kids in, this is like, let's talk about it ourselves, because not many people get to be in that seat, and not many people get to do that. But what we've been through, being just normal, everyday people listening to this may learn a little something to apply it to their own lives, to get them to that next level where they're starting a business, starting a new family, tired of what they're doing now. I think if you listen to your hot takes, and I love hearing you speak, because you say those little nuggets, that one nugget can change your life. I heard a couple things just, a few years ago. One little nugget out of an hour thing that I listened to changed my life. So anyway, I guess I applaud our listening audience now for listening to these, finding that nugget, bearing with us when we're being playful amongst each other, but know that this is a significant moment in time. There's been a significant movement of the needle with Soaak, and this is what we're bringing people now, is learning how we did that and got through some of the most difficult times.
Yeah.
Being family.
Right. Yeah, bringing that 1 degree of change, right?
Yeah.
If you change your trajectory just 1 degree, over time, that adds to a very different destination.
1,000%. It's hitting the golf ball. You hit it head on, and it's going to go straight most of the time. But if you're off just 1 degree here and there, and you hit it, it may wind up in the next fairway when you get 300, 400 yards out. So you can literally change your life by changing your trajectory right now.
Right. Never too late to start.
Absolutely. Okay, so just my personal wellness routine. I like to go to bed early. I think sleep is a huge part of your wellness. So if you're getting good sleep, no matter what else you're doing, you should be pretty good. If you're not sleeping very good, you're going to have a lot of problems like that trickle down throughout the day. So I think sleep's really important. I go to bed. I love to go to bed at 9 o'clock. I normally go to bed at 9:30, sometimes 10:30, depending on what show I get roped into.
So what's like your perfect evening routine that like winds you down for a 9:30 bedtime?
Yes. Okay. So after we get home from work, dinner, all those things. After dinner, I like to clean the kitchen, make sure all of that is done. So then the next day I'm not waking up to dishes. I make my coffee. I prepare everything. I drink lemon water every single morning when I wake up. So I make my lemon water.
I used to drink lemon water every single morning.
I used to make him the lemon water, and I watched him not drink it. So I stopped making it.
There are many health benefits. On a serious note, there are, but I can't get there quite yet.
You have to do what works for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And I just love it. It makes me feel so good. So I prep everything the night before. And that's kind of like almost like my trigger to it makes my body start relaxing, because I know I'm prepping for my sleep. I'm getting closer to being able to go to sleep. A lot of times we turn on the sleep well frequency, with Hudson, putting him to bed, just again, getting my body used to you're about to go to sleep. And then we sit down on the couch after we put Hudson to bed. We have our routine with him. We spend 30 minutes or so playing and,
Fighting.
Fighting. play fighting.
5 hugs, 5 kisses.
Yeah, 5 hugs, 5 kisses.
Yeah.
That's our routine.
Oh yeah.
And he likes to do that several times. And then he needs water. And anyways, so when we get him to bed, then we usually sit on the couch and watch Family Feud or whatever show, that we like to watch. And yeah, usually by 9:30, I just get up and I'm off to bed. And for me, that routine is like my safe place. I know if I stick to my routine, I'm going to have a great sleep, and then I'm going to have a great day the next day. Mm-hmm. So it's really important for me.
We were comparing readiness scores just this morning, and everybody was like, "Man, I was up late last night. We all bought Oura rings." And we were like, I've got a 75, I've got a 78, I've got an 80. And she comes in, I've got a 91 and a 92. My sleep was great.
Yeah, that's the power of a routine.
That's right.
Right.
Because I went to bed and I got good sleep.
She is the routine queen.
And it was rainy last night too, and that helped.
Yeah.
Well, and you're so good about being like efficient with your time. And I think you naturally like habit stack.
Yes.
Things like making sure that the kitchen is clean, prepping the coffee, like doing all these things maybe while Family Feud is on, and just getting it done and really setting yourself up for the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes me feel very like accomplished. Like I know we've talked about this in one of our last podcasts, but feeling like you're ahead. So not going to bed with a bunch of things undone, I think also definitely contributes to a good sleep, because if you go to bed and your mind's racing about everything you didn't do, you're not going to fall asleep as fast. Maybe you don't sleep as well, so getting things done before you go to bed so your mind can really relax and rest, I think is really helpful. And like Aaron was talking about, that 1 degree of change, if you do those little things every night, it's just slight. It's just a slight improvement, but over 10 years, it's a huge improvement. So it's little, but it's powerful.
I know you always having prayer, like having Hudson say his prayers and all that, like talking about body, mind, spirit. We even do that with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where there's always the body part, there's the mind part, and then there's the spiritual part, and that gives kind of a completion to the day. Yeah,
it's a balance. And again, it's just like that. I can't remember exactly how to say it. Pavlov's dog. Okay, I get up my tongue twist. But that is something where when we start that with him, like he knows, it's bedtime. Yeah. Because that's part of our routine. So it tells his body subconsciously, like, okay, I got to be still, I got to be quiet. Yeah. So I think it's important. It doesn't matter what the routine is. Like, that's not the point. The point is that there's a routine for yourself and your children. It's good. It's healthy.
So what about your morning routine?
So my morning routine is typically waking up. So I want to go back to the first topic of the seasons. Okay. So it depends. My morning routine changes with the seasons. It depends on really what we're doing with work-wise. I know last year we had a project that we worked on, and it was intense. And I got up at 5. I got up at 5 a.m. for about 9 months.
I remember that.
And we have clinics as well, so I'm in charge of the clinics, and so that was a big project. And then we had a Soaak project. So there was a season I got up at 5 a.m. and I went to bed at like 8:39 that season of my life. And I loved it. I mean, it was so great. And I would get up, I would either work out or I'd go straight to my email to get those done. And then I'd have my morning me time before I got up Hudson. And so that's a season. Right now we're in a season that's a little bit more leisure, which I'm loving. I get up with my big kids. I get up at 6, which is way better than 5. And if I don't have my big kids, then I get up at 7. So it just depends. It depends on the season of my life.
Well, what kind of things are you doing for you? Like, I want to hear about supplements, skincare, celery juice.
Yes.
Like, what are the very specific things?
Yes. I'll say in my most dedicated season of my life, my very favorite routine is my lemon water. I wake up within minutes of waking up. I drink my lemon water, about 20 ounces. I wait 15 to 30 minutes and I drink celery juice, which is freshly juiced celery juice. Yes, I juice it in the morning. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it because it makes me feel so good. It gives you so much good energy. Yeah. I do my celery juice and then I work out, and then I go up in my workout room and do either my walking or my weight workout. 15 to 20 minutes. Like, I don't do an intense one, but just enough to like get myself going. And then I come lay down on my couch and I meditate or read or do whatever, pray. I have the me time in the morning. That is my very favorite morning routine, and it's about an hour total. So I can get up. If I get up at 5, I can have everything done by 6, and then I get my work done because I can't get it all done in the day. if we're in a busy season. So yeah, that's my favorite.
I love that.
Most effective morning routine.
Yeah. Okay, Dad, I know that you have a lot of wellness routines, so I'm excited to get into yours.
Yeah,
I grew up watching all the different kind of phases, but you've been so consistent, especially with like going to the gym and lifting weights and going on walks and spending time in prayer and all of that. So I want you to take us through kind of what a day in your life looks like right now and get specific, talk about your supplements, your diet, and all of your habits.
Yeah, and all that changes as you age and as you go through different cycles and seasons of your life for what you have time for and all of that. So I try to get to the gym at least 3 times a week now. It used to be 4, sometimes 5, but at least 3 times a week. I've learned that you can put stress on muscles, and you can, if you give them adequate time to rest, it's actually better than overtraining. You know, I'm a type A overachiever. If going to the gym once is good, I'm going to go 8 times a week and see if I can do that. But yeah, I try to get to the gym 3 times a week. I try to do something. I try to move every day for 30 minutes to an hour. And a lot of times I'll have it stacked. Like I love to be outside. I love to take my breaks. So in the summer, spring and summer, around, the noon time where the sun's out, I'll go out and maybe return 3 or 4 calls while I'm walking. So
you're a great habit stacker.
I'm getting a little sun. I'm walking. I'm returning my calls. I'm doing business. I'm breathing the fresh air. I'm grounding. The whole 9 yards. So I love that. It's hard for me to remember to take supplements throughout the day. So this is not advised, but it works for me. I just take all my supplements in the morning. A good methylated multivitamin is very important. I've started drinking hydrogen. Well, maybe the hydrogen. It's like when you do the oxygen.
Right.
I started drink.
The hydrogenated water.
I started drinking hydrogenated water, which I can really feel.
Have you noticed a big difference?
Yeah, I can feel inflammation, oxidized stress, kind of
You're about
leaving
60
my body.
days into doing that.
Yeah.
You've been really consistent with it.
It's been really a good addition to my habit stack. I'll hydrate really well in the morning. I'll put a little of the Baja Gold salt to get the minerals. It's not a salt, but it's all the trace minerals. It's like 92 trace minerals.
Salt is so strong. Aaron thought it was regular salt, and he put it on my avocado
It was a big mistake.
It was like just dunking your head in the ocean.
I gave a bite to Christian. I go, this is a little tough. And he's like, Christian's, but he helps us do all of our audio, video stuff. Big guy, good looking guy, says, put it on, let me take a pinch of that. And he took it and he goes, because it's so
but the benefits are there.
It's so strong. So I put it in water, and I don't even taste that. I mix it in water while I'm taking my supplements in the morning. Yeah. And supplements are methylated vitamin, like I was saying, CoQ10, L-arginine, a nice omega-3, some taurine, some things like that. Ashwagandha is really good.
Do you do a magnesium?
I do a magnesium, magnesium taurate, and different. I do a red yeast rice because I've had a little bit of elevated cholesterol my whole life, so that's a natural way to kind of keep that down. And that in itself has taken me probably 10, 12 years to kind of tweak. And when something new comes out, I'll look at it. I'll try it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'll tweak it and see if I incorporate it in my everyday supplement type, procedure. But yeah, I'll take those all at once with the water, with all of that. I love coffee, so I'll do coffee. I'll put a little vital protein powder in it for
like the collagen one.
The collagen one. I've got beautiful hair and nails.
Your skin and nails.
Just want you to know that. And joint health. That helps with joint health. So I'll mix that in my coffee because I try to fast up until about 11 or 12 every day. So a little bit of intermittent fasting, going maybe 12 hours or so before eating. Try not to eat late at night because it's hard for me to get to sleep if I've had a late meal. And then doing that during the daytime. So I'll knock that out. And then,
you love the Four Sigmatic coffee too, right? Is that what you'd use?
Yeah. So I had some testing done, and the test came back that garlic and coffee were my 2 big no-nos. And so I can do without garlic because if I smell it, sometimes it just makes me feel weird. So that was no problem. But coffee, I basically called the doctor a liar and worked on a workaround. So when I started looking up mushroom coffee and all of that, I ran into Four Sigmatic, which I think is an amazing company. I think they do a great job in packaging and communicating benefits of the lion's mane mushroom they use in that coffee. So that's what I drink every morning. Sometimes I'll dilute it a little bit, put a little bit of oat milk in it, just to kind of give it a different flavor. And maybe 1 or 2 cups a morning. Try to cut out caffeine before 3 o'clock, 2 to 3 o'clock. With my meals, I do tea. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I haven't drank in a long time. I don't smoke. I try to live a decently healthy lifestyle. Yeah. I saw on a lot of things like my annual physical, or if you go in with any concern to any
any doctor's office visit, they fill out that paperwork.
Anything at all, and the first questions are, what's your family's medical history? Do you smoke? Do you drink?
And how many times a week?
And I'm going, and if you say no, have you ever?
Right. Yeah. It's so impactful on the body, and I think we're just now starting to realize how harmful alcohol can be. Which culturally, I think we're fighting it a little bit, just like 40, 50 years ago we did with cigarettes. It was just so important to like the social status and just different, smoking in restaurants. I remember as a kid, smoking section, non-smoking section. Right. I can't even imagine bringing my daughter into a restaurant where people are
smelling a cigarette. I know.
It's crazy.
No, but all the harmful, repercussions of secondhand smoke. And I think we're kind of getting there with alcohol right now too. And you're seeing a lot of people go completely sober. A lot of people really cut back. We really cut back. I mean, we rarely drink, and we used to really enjoy, getting different wines and, just very into it, going to different vineyards and all of that. But now we kind of save that for special occasions, and it's just, it's incredible. There's still a lot of research.
For my overall health and wellness, I chose not to do that. And it gives me a very positive lifestyle. I try to keep a positive mental attitude. I think that's really big. We teach that at Soaak. What you think about, you bring about. And I think your thoughts, if you can really capture your thoughts and have control over those and not go off on any, left or right too far, but you really control. I had some guy, a very successful business guy, tell me that he said, it's not that we're never going to have a problem, because we are. Like, we were just starting a new relationship. This was a mega business guy. You would know him if I said his name. And he said, it's not that we're never going to have a problem. It's just, how are we going to approach it? And how are we going to solve it? Like, we can agree now that we're both going to be responsible adults. We're both going to, talk through it. And we're both going to go at it with the aim of getting to a beneficial solution, a mutually beneficial solution. Yeah. So I've carried that all my life. And I think it's not that you're not going to have problems, because you are. I'll go this far. If you're not having problems, you're probably not doing much. So you are going to have problems, whether it's relational, business, whatever, you versus you even. But if you have the positive mental attitude and see the glass half full, I looked at Aaron's glass, it's half full. If you see the glass half full most of the time, it'll pull you through those times where others may want to give up and may give up. Right. But if you always see what's on the other side and you use, we talk about body, mind, spirit. Spiritually, if you enact your faith and you pull through and say, on the other side of this, it's going to be this, this, and this, all those positive things. I'm going to spend more time with my kid. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have this. These things come into my life, then it gets you through. Like so I think, to round out what I'm saying now, unless you had any other questions, faith is probably the cherry on top of it all, but it's also the base of it all. Yeah. And life is in between.
Yeah. Well, I think faith facilitates a lot of things that are great for, even mental, like resiliency. We talk a lot about forgiveness and just that underlying knowing of like life is happening for me. Yeah. It's happening for my good. Everything is happening in my favor.
For me, not to me.
Exactly. Yep. And I feel like faith is foundational. If that's something that if that's like an ideology that you have in your life, I don't know how I would carry that without faith.
Oh, I know. And some people that say they don't believe in faith, or now you're getting too spiritual on me. and I heard somebody say this, I think it was Anthony Robbins, but he said, if you can get up every day and get in a car and go 60 miles an hour down a road and have faith that that little yellow line is going to keep somebody else from colliding into you,
Right.
then you can have faith for other things.
Right. You can have faith in a whole lot.
And you do have faith. Yeah. So I've always remembered that. But, having a father as a pastor, faith has been foundational for me, and it has pulled me through. When everybody says it's not going to work, you should quit and all that. If I know that I know that I know, and I'm taking the right steps, that faith has pulled me through monumental things in my life to get to the other side, to get to the good.
Yeah, that's so good. All right, Aaron, you're in the hot seat now. I could probably predict your morning and evening routine, obviously, because you're my husband, but share with the audience, what are the things that you like to implement in your life?
So an ideal routine is very different than kind of what my routine is right now. But again, it goes back to seasonal.
Right?
Yeah.
And part of the reason for that is just having a 2.5-year-old who loves to stay up late at night, and there's just no other way around it. And she has a big girl bed now, so there's no crib keeping her in place anymore.
And if I may, it's not a 2.5-year-old. She's 6.5 in a 2.5-year-old body.
That is very true.
I promise to God, she is off the chart smart, and she will tell you what she's going to do, and then she will do it.
She's very headstrong. I think one of our other coworkers sent us that little meme the other day that was like me trying to raise like a headstrong, independent daughter, but also me having to raise a headstrong, independent daughter.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
So I understand what you're saying, Aaron.
Yes. Yeah, my perfect routine would look a lot like Laura's perfect routine.
Yeah.
It would be going to bed. I would be in bed at 9 o'clock, and I would be asleep by 9:15. It's very easy for me to fall asleep if I go to bed early. The later I stay up, I feel like the more energy I start to pick back up, which science shows, right? Like that is how it works. And then I would probably get up around 5:30 or 6, but I end up staying up till 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12. And then just depending seasonally what's going on in the business too, like there are times where we work late, and that's just part of it. And I love it, right? Like that's part of the work-life
integration. From 11 till like 1 in the morning, finishing things or the military stuff we work on.
Right. And that's part of it. Yeah. And so I don't regret that at all. I don't have anything. Yeah, there's nothing but like beauty in that, because I'm blessed and so happy that I have the opportunity to do all those things. But yeah, the perfect routine for me would be going to bed early, waking up early, and then starting my day with some kind of exercise, some kind of workout. I've experimented with a lot of different morning routines. That was, I would say, the time in my life when I had no responsibilities and I could do whatever I want. So when I was 16 years old, I went to bed as early as I could. I got up at 5 a.m. and I met my buddies at the gym, and that was our routine that we did together. Wow. And that was like my perfect morning routine.
Totally,
but like
16-year-old you doing
that. because there was nothing else. I had zero responsibilities. It was just, my parents were like, yeah, you have a car. Okay, go do whatever you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
Aaron, the problem with that is God doesn't get up before 10 a.m. Central. So I don't know what you're doing in the gym without him. Right. Anyway, now you know my routine.
Well, okay, so talk to us about supplements. What supplements are you loving right now?
So right now I'm doing CoQ10, also doing a methylated
vitamin B, I think.
I think it's vitamin B.
Know.
Yeah, you bought it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us what supplements you take.
You know so much about him.
I do like taking creatine. I think that it's just a generally good thing that we should all be taking.
Yeah.
There are, obviously the vanity aspects that come from that as well, but I genuinely think that there's a positive aspect of taking creatine. So I want to say it's 5 milligrams is the recommended amount of creatine for everybody. But yeah, that's really, those are the only supplements that I'm doing right now. Depending on how I feel, I mean, I swear by a vitamin C. So if I start to feel sick, I'm loading up on vitamin C.
Yeah. People really, I feel like, take that information for granted. Like we all know, like it's the obvious thing to support your immune system. And it really is so powerful and so accessible.
It is night and day difference. I mean,
we always have like a really high, like potency one in our fridge.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish that when I was younger, when I was, in middle school, high school, wish that I knew the power of a vitamin C, because when you feel that like that sinus sickness
Yeah,
coming
you
on, which
feel
is
it
something
coming
I
on.
get probably 3 times a year. Like you feel it, it's coming. If you just start loading up on vitamin C, I would say 90% of the time you're good.
Yeah.
So that's my one
Yeah.
hot take.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about mental resilience, and Aaron, I want you to share with everyone your stat that you always pull out about stress.
Oh yeah. So WebMD released that up to 90% of all doctor's office visits are for stress or stress-related ailments.
So wild.
Amazing.
And that's
If you
from
think about-
WebMD.
That's from WebMD. Yes.
Wow.
And so it was just specifically looking at stress in America.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times when you're going to the doctor, or when we collectively are going to the doctor, it's for some type of stress-related ailment. So I know that sleep is really important. And I completely agree with Laura's statement at the beginning of this. It's like if you fix your sleep, then everything else is getting fixed. And I think that if you fix your sleep, then you're probably going to be able to manage and deal with your stress a lot better. But if you could only just manage your stress a lot better, I mean, imagine the difference that would
Yeah.
make.
Yeah, I think this is why stress relief is like my go-to frequency on Soaak. Like if I am feeling anxious, I don't play anti-anxiety, I play stress relief, because I feel like that is the one that always makes me feel more like myself again. Like it brings me back to homeostasis. And that one has always just resonated with me the most, is that stress relief one.
Yeah.
I like anti-anxiety.
Yeah.
I still play that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anti-anxiety, I agree. I really like, because it's one of those, like, in the first 5 seconds,
You feel it.
you feel it.
See,
in the
that's
middle
why
of
I'm
your
with the
gut.
stress
Yeah.
relief
Well,
one.
and so that's,
Different
it
cellular
works for you.
makeup.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's
That's why we
body's
have
different.
both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about navigating burnout. I know that all of us, each one of us, thank God at different times, have gone through seasons of just feeling extremely burnt out. And we've been through a lot of different iterations and phases of life of this business, financially, what the branding looks like anything that you could think of, we've gone through, and it's been a lot. And boy, have we grown. But I do want to take a moment to kind of revisit that and talk about what tools we utilized whenever, 90% of people may have just said, I'm done. What was it that kept you guys, sticking in it?
Yeah.
It was my hustle.
It was the $1 million that we
Yeah, that and my retirement I sunk into this company.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Just little help.
We all appreciate it.
Yeah, it's your inheritance.
So you're welcome.
Yeah, no, we're all driven by different things, and I've worked all my life. I never remember not working, from 5-6 years old, shoveling snow, to mowing yards, to buying my first car, to going to OU, paying for all my classes, getting a job at OU to help pay for my school and pay for my car and my insurance and all my classes, and then having various jobs, just my entire life working for a goal. For me, it started, I remember when my mom asked me, she said, I asked her, I said, what are those dog statues all about? And she goes, oh, those are just for the rich people.
What do you mean dog statues?
We were driving down the road, and I was looking, I was probably 7, 8 years old, now that I think about it, 7, 8 years old. And I saw these statues of dogs on the side of the road.
Like the concrete ones.
In front of like a furniture store.
Yeah.
And places like that. And I asked my mom, I said, what is that?
Yeah.
And she goes, those are statues of dogs, but those are only for the rich people.
Oh.
And everybody's got their own fire that has been lit under them, that's got them through life. And I think our footsteps are ordered. Everything happens for a reason. But for me, when I heard that, I wanted to know what was rich, what was wealthy.
That was your moment.
Yeah, that was my thing, because we grew up fairly poor, and my mom always said we were the poor people that the poor people called poor. And that type of thing. My dad had 2 or 3 jobs all the time, and we just all worked. And so I never remember not working. So that has led me down a life path of always having an internal motivation, just because I don't quit.
Right.
I just don't. And people who try to quit around me usually don't quit either.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's kind of contagious. It's like we're going to get through this. Like, I don't care. Do another one. Do another one. Do it. I just heard somebody in the, and I don't mean to get off track here, but I just heard somebody in the company say something like, I did one more. It may have been you, Aaron. I don't remember. But they said, I did one more. I made one more call. I did one more thing. And that will drive you, to success. That thing behind you that drives you, that if you can envision your future again by faith and say, this is where I want to be. Now look at where I am now and how do I get there? I think it's the driven, the step-by-step process of kind of filling that in. So no, I think it's important to keep your goals out in front of you, just to keep yourself motivated, stay around people that's motivating, have that positive mental attitude I was talking about earlier, that we will get there. Yeah. May take us longer. 99% of the population would have given up. Most businesses fail within the first 2 years. Right. And if you just keep going, I tell people now, the only way to fail is to quit.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Like you also have to, and I don't mean to get off on this, but you also have to remain pliable to your goal. So, we had a pretty set vision of Soaak, 6-7 years ago when we started it. And if you would see some of the previous designs that we all thought were the best in the world, it's like, what idiot did that?
Time has really humbled us.
Yeah, it was us. But the different iterations, and just going through those things and making the changes and keeping the faith and moving to that next level. Anyway, I won't go off on that whole teaching, but that I think is important, is to keep the faith.
Yeah, I think that's something that's been very consistent, at least me watching you my whole life, is just that never give up, because that's the only way that you fail, is if you stop trying. 100%. And I think you really instilled that in me and Zach and Olivia, my siblings, and that's something that we talk about a lot. Behind your back in a good way.
well, that and what I was saying earlier, if you get hung up on this has got to be my way, this in my example, this font, this color, this whatever is the best, and I'm never going to change it. Well, there may be a different way, a different path. When Aaron took on kind of the military part of our company, we all looked at him a little sideways going,
I remember we all tried to talk him out of it.
What are you doing exactly? He goes, no, I really, think this is good. And that was 2 contracts ago. We're getting ready to be awarded our 3rd and 4th, and has changed the velocity of our company night and day, from somebody that had his passion, his dream. He saw it.
His faith.
And his faith. And we respected him enough to follow that. But it wasn't, my point is, it wasn't anywhere on our blueprint.
Right.
Like it's only going to happen this way. It's, it's you've got to go through these steps. Now, it's probably not going to be opposite of what you envisioned, because it did grow the company and that was our goal. But the way we get there may be different. You have to be flexible. You have to be pliable.
You can't be attached to the how.
Right. Yeah. Right. What do you always say? You can't be attached to the...
Oh, don't be attached to the outcome. Yeah. So when you're going, when you set a goal and you have an intention and you're like, the outcome is, Z, you can't be attached to Z. It might be Y, it might be something else, but don't be attached to the, don't be attached to the specific outcome, because I believe that the faith is the way to get there, but not the actual end goal. So you're having the faith that you're going to get there and it's going to be amazing, because if you are so attached to a specific outcome, God's like, I have something a little bit further that's way better. It's what you want, I promise, but it's even way better than what you thought in your head. So when you're not attached to what you wanted, it leaves room for God to show off, and it really kind of lightens the burden on you in the process, because you're like, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm just walking by faith and I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And the outcome's going to be amazing.
I just thought of something. Maybe we get those outcomes, those visions, because it's just a portion of what God wants to get to us ultimately. Now, and it's something we can see.
It's only what we can understand.
Yeah.
It's only what we can conceptualize in that
That's
moment.
right.
Yeah. I can see this. If he would have told me the end result that we would have
it would have been too unrealistic.
2 military contracts, no way.
Like how? It's stressful just to even think.
Right.
It's stressful.
But we saw what we could do tomorrow. I read something the other day. It said you don't have to see the top of the staircase. You just have to see the next step.
That's right.
So maybe those things they're put in front of us to at least move us in the right direction, But if we are not attached to that outcome and open up for God to show
Then the
off,
very
then
best
there's
can
this
happen.
bigger thing that this was just kind of the warm-up band to the main
Right.
concert, getting us in the building. But now look what I've got prepared for you.
Yeah, well, that's something that me and Aaron have talked about a lot over the years, is just going with the flow. And as we go with the flow, you take a right turn, and that right turn then takes you to the left turn, then that then takes you to that big huge breakthrough that we all
you never could have seen coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
but
right.
but if you would have tried to go in that straight line, you wouldn't have got that experience and made that connection and made that. So if you
Right.
literally just go with the flow of the day, being in that present moment, walking by faith, but having that intention, that goal, it's going to take you down the most perfect path, curvy, straight, whatever it may be.
Right.
It's going to take you down the perfect path.
That's been my favorite part of this entire experience. Like the business, the thing that we've created, Soaak together, is faith, and then just walking in that and living in that, as Dr. Michael Beckwith calls it, flow motion.
Yeah.
But really, it's you get a stirring, right? I don't know what to call it, but a stirring, and it's I need to do this, and so you do it because it's what you feel compelled to do,
Right.
and you don't know why you're doing it. But you then later see, right? Hindsight is 20/20. It's like, well, because we went to Dallas and we went to the Brain Health Institute and the Center for Brain Health, and because we met Steve, then Steve connected us to this person, and that person connected us to that person, and the next thing we
nothing you
know,
could have
we're having
planned.
this
Yeah.
phone call.
Right.
These people are making
Right.
these connections, calling
Right.
the people that we've been
Right.
trying to call for 3 months,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden the deal is on.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just
Yep.
you never could have navigated that yourself, but you felt
gotta
a
keep
calling, you
seeking
felt a
paths.
stirring to, I need to go do this.
And the
Yeah.
growth of this company is laden with those things.
Absolutely.
It's at every,
Totally.
it's like part of our fabric,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the faith.
our faith fabric.
Right.
There you go.
So Laura, I have a kind of a different take on this question
Yeah.
for you. Energetically, what do you think burnout actually is?
Yes. Oh, that's so
And like,
good.
what is it prompting us to do?
That's so good. I feel like energetically, you go through seasons, and I've always thought this about myself personally. So I think everybody's different, but I go through like threes. Three's my number. I was born on December 3rd. I go through 3-week and 6-week cycles in myself, where I can be super committed to something for 3 weeks or 6 weeks, and then I'm like just done, so it just totally depends on the cycle for me. So I feel like it's an energy thing. I feel like you can attribute it to astrology and the stars and the moon and the way that everything works together. But energetically, I feel like burnout is when you have that fire for something and then it goes away, or you feel super overwhelmed and heavy. I feel like that's burnout. So the perfect example is what I was talking about earlier, where I got up at 5 a.m. It was like a 9-month season, which is funny. This is 9.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
it's all threes for me. But after that 9-month season, I went super fast, and I got burned out. And I was really enjoying what I was doing. It wasn't like I was hating it. I was enjoying getting up. I was like, I'm super productive. I'm getting so much done. But then I just felt myself tank pretty much. And I started feeling like physically, not sick, but just physically heavy and no energy. And I just felt burned out. And it was great in my situation specifically, and I know ours is I have such a great support system. And so all I did was voice that. I'm like, you guys, I'm at a wall here.
Yeah.
And everybody shuffled and rearranged, and we figured out how to get me out of that season.
Yeah.
And so I feel like energetically, when you feel like that, you have to, one, be self-aware.
Right.
Because if you're not self-aware, then you'll continue in the rut. But become self-aware and notify the people that you love the most.
Yeah, don't just push it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk
about it, and because it will happen.
Yeah.
It's very common that you get burned out, because it's like a racehorse. You come out of the gate and you just run as fast as you can, as hard as you can, for as long as you can. And then at some point you can't do that anymore.
Right.
And you don't just know it, or you don't like pre-think it, or like give yourself, you don't plan for it. It just happens.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, new season, I'm burnt out. What do? I take some time, take a couple days off, whatever. But I feel like energetically, it's just your system and your energy letting you know that, hey, season needs to change. And so make some changes, talk to your family about it and get yourself out of that rut. Go, spend some time by yourself and rethink of your new life. What's my new life look like on Monday? What time am I going to get up? Am I going to take all my supplements? Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to take a break for the week, you know, and just reset your energy to where then you feel like I've got energy. I'm ahead of the game. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, you know, and I think that's really important.
Yeah. Being open to that change and, you know, maybe seeing what that goal is that you threw out there several months ago. And then it's like, okay, well, what does that look like now?
Right.
Like, how am I headed towards that today?
Right. I still want to hit the goal, but I have to do it completely different on an hour by hour basis because I don't want to keep doing what I was doing.
Something's hitting me right now that maybe burnout is just kind of God's way of showing us we need to change directions.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not necessarily you burn out so you should quit, but it's a signal to our bodies because, you know, sometimes I have to be hit in the middle of the head to change. No comments.
No.
But you know, maybe that sense of heaviness and burnout is it's time for one of those left turns.
Yeah.
I love
turns.
that. Like you've ran as far as you needed to in that direction.
Yeah.
Now let's stop.
You don't have the grace
let's gain some awareness
for anymore. So
No, I completely agree with you. And I think if we go back to using that like flow motion analogy and we think about this, you know, as far as currents, if you are swimming as hard as you can against the current, you're not going to get very far.
right.
And if you just shift directions a little bit, then you'll see yourself take off in a way that is a lot
You'll be more current.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. So wellness, it's not something that has to be perfect, but I think that the common theme here is that it just has to be intentional. And you have to take that time to really check in with your spirit and kind of figure out, is this something that I need to course correct? Or, you know, is it serving me? Is it serving the company? Does it align with the goals that we share? And I think that that's probably the biggest takeaway here.
Yeah. And it doesn't look the same over time. It evolves. It changes.
Right.
It's just like part of us. It's just like the seasons.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So to kind of wrap up, I want everyone to share your one piece of advice for someone who might be listening and they just feel completely overwhelmed. They're in the thick of it. What's the one piece of advice? We'll start with Laura.
Okay. I feel like I say this a lot, but I think it's the most powerful. Anything is possible. Everything is mindset. Stress is a mindset. Going back to your data, your statistics on 90% people going to the emergency room or whatever, the doctor visits. It's mental first, you know? And so if you shift your mindset, if you just can find it in you to be like, I'm going to think different. I'm just going to think different. You know that absolutely anything is possible. So whatever you're going through, whatever's happening in your day or your life or whatever goal you have set, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. And it's just that mental shift in your mind. And so the next time you go, you know, the next hour you go to work or whatever you're doing, you're telling yourself, oh, it's stressful or it's hard or it's overwhelming. No, it doesn't have to be. It can be whatever you tell it to be.
That's right.
So anything is possible. So just try to make that little like light bulb moment in your brain to say, no, I'm going to do it. I can do it. I don't care what anybody's saying. It's possible.
I love that. That kind of reminds me of like the 4-minute mile too, how once one person broke that record, all of a sudden like dozens of people.
It's what you believe,
Yes.
right?
It's wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Aaron.
our own biggest roadblock.
Yes.
Right? And so it's that realization. It's being able to step back and just be at peace as best you can.
Yes.
You know, it's not always an easy thing to do, especially when you're hyper stressed. The last thing that you want to do when you're in that mode is stop everything.
Yeah.
Because you feel such an urge to keep going, right?
Yeah.
To do something. At least I do. I get like that nervous energy
Yeah.
when I'm hyper stressed, right?
Yeah.
But if you can just stop everything and find find your way to calm, and then I'll jump on what you were saying is like that realization that you can do anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
So what is it that you want to do? What is the outcome that you want? What are you seeking? And then just start moving towards that again.
Yeah.
It's good.
I love that. All right, Dad.
What was the question?
What is your one piece of advice to someone who's listening right now where they feel stuck? They feel like they're really in the trenches. They're feeling burnout. They're overwhelmed. Like, what is the one takeaway for them today?
Yeah, I think you first have to know and have to realize who you are and how powerful you are and how fearfully and wonderfully made you are, and that you can absolutely do anything you set your mind to. But it happens in the mind first.
Yes.
You know, there's not a building that's ever been built There's not anything that's ever been created that didn't first start out as a thought in someone's mind. So when you get your mind right, you get your life right. I know we say this, what you think about, you bring about. What you listen to most frequently is your frequency. So watch what you feed in your system. Watch who you hang around. If you're around a bunch of people who say there's no way you could ever do that, you never could become that, and you're already feeling bad and you're feeling like giving up, you're going to give up.
Yeah, you got to find new friends.
That's it.
Those aren't friends.
But if you put yourself in the mindset of, no matter what it takes, I'm going to bear down here, I'm going to bite down, I'm not going to let go until I see the end of this, and you align everything around you to support that, then I think it's going to be very hard to give up, because you've brought in the inner circle. Like, we encourage each other.
Right.
Everybody here has thought about leaving multiple times because it's got so hard, but we've always encouraged each other, and we've always went to that next level and that next step, and we'll win a contract, we'll get a deal here, we'll be on a podcast that reaches millions of people, and that keeps us all going. So know that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Know that you can do anything, because I am a very faith-filled person. I know that I have a loving Heavenly Father that loves me unconditionally, no matter what some of the things that I've done that doesn't align with what I should have done. No comments. But because of that, because I know I have a loving Heavenly Father, Heavenly Creator, that I can do no wrong in His eyes, it makes me want to love Him even more and do more of the right thing. So I know when that happens, that my footsteps are ordered. I know that I cannot fail, and I know that all things happen together and will be counted for my good. Yes. I know that. That's how I wake up every morning. So no matter what I encounter, I know I can get over it. And when you get that mindset, when you listen to things that support that and you build that in your system, you become unstoppable.
Yeah, I love that. So no one asked me, but I'm going to share.
Madison, what's the one piece of advice?
Well, mine is also kind of a faith-based approach to it. And one of the two big words that have really been on my heart have been grace and surrender. So for me, like, my advice to someone who's feeling completely overwhelmed and stuck in the thick of it is to lean into the grace of God and surrender and lay everything just at the feet of Jesus, and to let go of control. Because oftentimes whenever we feel overwhelmed and we're in the thick of it, it's because we're trying to paddle and stay above water, and we have this energy of like trying, surviving. And that grit is good in business, but you need room to let God show off. That's right. And you need room to allow yourself to really just be enveloped in the grace of God, which we experience all the time. So that's just what's been on my heart, and that would be my advice.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was just envisioning somebody who was holding on so tightly to whatever that was, to the way that they see that it has to be, right? Yeah, it has to work like this. It has to be like this. They're just holding on so tight. And what you're saying is just
surrender.
Let it go.
Yeah. Let go and see what happens.
And I want to make a comment here that because I grew up as a PK, a preacher's kid, went my way, did everything I shouldn't do, and kind of found my way back. I've also seen all of the crap that's happened in the church and under the name of religion. I've seen more people probably get hurt by religion than ever helped. And I know everybody listening to this podcast right now, if we took a poll, there would be a lot of people that said, you say God, you say Jesus, I'm tuning out because this and this and this happened to me, or this and this and this didn't happen to me, or whatever. We're so far beyond that. We're talking about the unconditional love of a God that loves you unconditionally with no religion.
Well, and I have sorry.
I'm not finished. Hey.
Could you hang loose for a minute and let me talk?
Jesus Christ was not a Christian.
Right.
And people don't understand that. They feel the power of that. And there's an unconditional loving story through that. But he was not a religion. He was beyond religion. In fact, the only people that he got mad about, as accounted in the Bible, were the religious leaders.
Yeah.
So I want to make that point for whoever's watching, that if you've ever been hurt in church or by a spiritual leader, or which like every other person I talk to has been, including me, don't let that stop your growth. Like reach beyond that and go to that unconditional, loving spirituality part of you, and that loving Father that wants you to succeed and is not there to condemn you and to damn you into this and to that, but is there to love you and to support you and watch you as you grow. That's, if you could imagine, last thing I'm going to say, if you could imagine how much you love your little girl, little Annie, and that you would do anything for her and you would beat up anybody that touched her, our Heavenly Father says that's not even close to how much He loves us.
Yeah.
And if you can let that sink in, if you don't have a kid, think of your favorite pet or your spouse or your mom or your dad or something that you hold dear and true to your heart. As much as you could love that, it doesn't even scratch the surface of how much your Father loves you and is there to help you and assist you and be there for you. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you're going to get trials. Yes, you're still going to get knocked down. It's not all going to be walking on a cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
The difference is you're going to get through it. You're going to have the faith to pursue, to get through it, to find the promise.
That's right.
And that's what our message is about, I feel.
Yeah. And you know, we're not meant to put our faith in people. We're not meant to put our faith in men, like in, you know, and even in, you know, leaders of churches or people who are high up in different religious organizations. We're not meant to put our faith in them. They're imperfect. They will fail you.
Right. For sure.
We've all experienced
For sure.
instances.
Right.
You know, some people have been hurt a lot more than others, and I've been hurt a few times, but that was by people. It's not by God.
Right.
And every time that I've been hurt and kind of withdrawn, I have reconnected with God in the most magnificent way. Yeah. And that's I think like that purity of the relationship is having that one-on-one relationship with, you know, God, with the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And I think that's what's important.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a great way to bring this to but because what we ended with should be the beginning of everybody's life, and that's what has got us all through what we've been through.
Yeah.
So
100%.
thank you so much for having us and interviewing us. This is exciting.
Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to share this with someone if it resonated with you. Leave us some of your thoughts in the comments, and please hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time. And that's a wrap on today's episode. If you loved this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs it. You can find us on Instagram at Soaak Podcast for more inspiration and wellness insights. Thanks for being here. And until next time, keep tuning into what truly matters.